All right. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to an FPS I've been excited about ever since launch suggested it. Um, I've already launch. I'm so sorry. I've spoiled your dramatic entrance.
It's okay.
You'll just have to do a normal entrance, and then like later in the FPS, suddenly do a dramatic entrance, so that nobody will actually be expecting it then.
I see. I understand.
We're working with this on the fly. Don't you worry, guys. I've talked too long to have not already said this. I'm Snail. I will be playing Lieutenant Remy, the shooting star of the Shooting Star Press. The name sort of repeats itself a little bit. We're still workshopping it. But he is ever, as always, ever accompanied by his faithful pal, Winter, who is the schnauzer at his side. Winter is a dark black schnauzer with beady little eyes that look just a little too aware of stuff to be a normal pooch. And as with basically everything I try to do, I actually am going to start by using one of my first level spells so that he can have up Speak with Animals.
Probably
for fun.
Smart. Probably very smart.
He loves understanding what his very grouchy little pal is saying at all times.
That's smart.
All right.
And probably useful, considering how often trouble seems to find Luton, or Luton finds trouble.
It has happened a fair amount, but surely nothing could happen today.
Surely nothing. Nothing of the sort. As Luton is returning home from what I assume is yet another typical day of work, fairly late in the night, to find his apartment strangely untidy, I suppose.
Yeah, I think, actually, you know what I should do? I should roll to figure out who figures out first. Okay, 1 second. I'm trying to read through Winter's stuff. Wisdom. +1. Okay, so first, Winter is going to perceive so that I can remember the rules, because Winter gets to roll with advantage on perception checks that require a sense of smell or a sense of hearing, and he's going to be using both.
Yeah.
So the first set of rolls is actually going to be Winter, and then we'll figure out what Luton thinks.
All right, Luton.
All right, starting with a 10, not great. 14. All right, Winter's a little bit distracted. They probably notice something, but they're not high-key noticing stuff. Since Luton himself isn't, like, yet notified of what's going on, I think he'll also start with a perception check. But his perception is pretty decent, so... So it winds up with a pair of 14s. Winter has a 14, Luton has a 14. You only have to explain what they would understand with a 14, because they both got the same roll.
With the 14, the door is definitely in place. However, there is the dog door, which Winter makes use of. It seems to be broken, out of place, and definitely like something a little bit too large has forced itself in.
And at first, Luton is like crouching down, like, "Winter, did you do that? I cannot believe." And you hear, which, given that we don't yet have anybody else in the scene, gets translated to, "Are you accusing me of things without proper evidence? I can't believe you're a reporter." And Winter's off having a little pout until they both go, "Wait a minute." And their eyes, like, sort of slide back to the door, like, wait a minute. If Winter didn't do this, then something definitely broke into their apartment. And they both sort of go quiet. Their eyes slide back to the door. And they're both like, okay, something's definitely in the apartment. And I think at this point, I think at this point, Lucian is going to make an investigation check, specifically like not looking at the doggy door anymore, but with his other senses, trying to tell if he can hear anything through the fact that the doggy door is busted.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to hear stuff because I don't think 4 is gonna do much.
I'm also going to be using investigation rather than just perception. So that's a hefty 6 coming at you with a 23. So he's listening real good.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not necessarily that there's a lot of footsteps or feet really at all, but there's something moving and something rummaging through. I assume he has a study of sorts.
Yeah, it's kind of a small apartment, but he does have the main room. He has like a whole one of those like filing cabinets, which is like metal. He has like 3 of those because he's a nerd and he brings his research home all the time. And then he has like a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom, and that's basically it. But in the big room, there are filing cabinets. There is a little desk. There is his typewriter if he ever starts getting the need before he goes into work to quickly write something up. So there is like stuff around.
Yeah, both due to the abysmal stealth, Luton's natural investigative skills, and also him knowing the basic layout, it's pretty easy to triangulate where exactly the intruder is. Very, very close to where he keeps a lot of his personal stuff.
And Luton is not fond of that because he has recently been investigating a certain something. Definitely pay attention to the what was it? It's not Faces on Parade. Is it Faces on Parade? Was it?
Parade.
It was Faces on Parade. I was like, wait a minute. I was trying to. I got confused with the Bardilla Argent, which is also like set at a fancy party. So it's like, don't say that one. Don't say that one. I said the correct one. I didn't think it was the correct.
No, you got it.
So. Watch Faces on Parade for context. He sort of stumbled on something and is still in the works of investigating it. Cough, cough. That was a very long cough.
Cough.
So I'm trying to think of what he would do, because I think with the layout of the house, you do go into that big room, and in that case, if he went in, he would be highly visible to whomever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens is, like, the apartments are, like, along this one long hallway, and I think this is the kind of, like, big apartment building that might have a fire escape.
Ooh, a fire escape.
Which could lead to a window, which would be less visible. Would you agree?
I would agree. I think that's a very, very good idea.
I know this is kind of like my character's environment, but you are absolute. Feel free to call me out if something's like bullshit.
No, this is great. This is great.
Okay, so with that, he's gonna sort of like gesture to Winter, and Winter, who at this point is not only trained on like normal tricks, but knows like some general gestures in Toonkind ASL, clearly gets the idea and starts toddling over. And when they actually like get to the door of the fire escape, Luton's like, "All right, I'm gonna carry you. All right, I know you hate going up this because there's holes in the ground and I can like mess with your feet." And Winter goes, "Fine," and just lets him pick him up. But clearly, it's like one of those floppy pickups where like he's not actually enjoying being picked up. Which obviously does not always happen because Luton's like, "Oh, come on, old chap. It's going to be fine. We're going to figure this out." And now it's Luton's turn to make a stealth roll, which he's okay at. Oh, what the heck. I think this is important enough. He's going to actually use Pass Without a Trace on him and Winter. So he only has one second level spell slot left, but his stealth is going to be plus 13. So
Jesus. Yeah.
all right, that's gonna be an 18 as he's climbing up the ladder and getting to the window of his apartment.
I suppose I will roll in turn to see if the intruder notices anything funky. No, she doesn't.
It's a she. Wait, Luton wouldn't know that. So Luton is now he's in like investigating mode. Most of the time, it isn't actually in his apartment that he's investigating stuff, but he does sort of do this for a living, even as in the past he unfortunately hasn't shown himself to be good at it. He is supposed to be competent at this, so he's keeping. I still feel bad that in Faces on Parade he acted like a total goober. Okay.
No.
So he's keeping his cool at the moment, and I think what he's going to do is he's going to be like, all right, Winter. I know that you and I can talk. They don't know that we can talk. And if you go in, they'll just assume you went into the doggy door. Do you think you can, like, he sort of like gestures with his head, like, do you think you can get a scope of the layout while I wait here? And there's an animal. Of course I can get her. Come on. What do you take me for? I do this all the time. And Luton kind of starts like, well, yes, I don't want you to get hurt either. And he's like, come on, let me at him. Let me at him. Let me at him. Let me at him. And we're just like, okay, but don't actually fight him in the moment. Let me at him. And with a beleaguered sigh, because he knows that they're still trying to be stealthy, but Winter's just hyped up for this at this point. He has something to prove. He's like, okay. He gently opens the door, and I'm gonna say that 18, not the door, the window. I'm gonna say that would that 18 cover opening the window, since like most of the time he actually does open the window a fair bit because it's kind of like stagnant in his apartment.
Yeah.
And Winter sneaks in. And I guess Winter's gonna do another perceive because he got advantage on those.
He's gonna look so good.
Well, mostly he's gonna smell some good. Ooh, 17. All right, we're not getting anything better than a 17. What does Winter hear, see, smell when he starts investigating from the bedroom as he tries to stay hidden in the shadows?
Yeah, I assume Luton doesn't keep the lights on, and if he does, the lights have definitely been turned off, so it's pretty dark in there. But the smell...
Luton would never keep the lights on. That's just a complete waste of energy. Exactly. I have that electricity bill to look after.
So, yeah, there's... The smell is unlike anything that he's smelled before, I'd say. It smells like a multitude of animals. First, like, almost a deer. Like, one point, a scorpion, a bear. It seems to be constantly shifting as to if it is a familiar smell at all. But there's still a lot of rummaging. And this odd squelching noise.
Dare I say it, Winter is the type who would investigate further. So, I guess this would mean taking another stealth roll, because I think he's going to try and get eyes on whatever this is. He's going to track down which room they're in.
All
which
right.
they're guessing it's in the front room, but he's going to actually try and get eyes on this thing. All right, real quick. Stealth. Oh my goodness, which one is stealth under? Help.
Stealth is dex.
Stealth is dex? Okay, thank you. So that's a 12 for Winter, which is still pretty dang good. This is why I use Pass Without a Trace.
Jeez.
So he got a 29 on his stealth.
Yeah, I don't think I can do much against that.
17, and then they added 12.
Sneaky. Yeah, I suppose I'll just, yeah, you come into the living room, and there are papers and knickknacks strewn about the desk, things that you know Luton keeps hidden away, tucked away in his drawer, and it is just a mess, but in the center of it all, looming amongst this mass of papers, is this writhing, gooping mass of something.
Winter definitely does like the big eyes emoji thing. And so you already described the smell. Does it there's like squelching going on, but would you say the smell always smells like different animals, or is there another layer in there amongst the various shifting animals?
I suppose there's probably another layer. I guess the easiest would be just ooze.
Ah, yes, the ever-present smell of ooze.
Yes.
We know, we understand. It's like when you're like playing with those it's not Play-Doh, it's the other one. It's the stretchy one that snaps. It's that smell. It's like you can stretch
Putty?
it, but if you tug on it really quick, it snaps. You know what I'm talking about. I just can't remember the name. It's the gummy.
Like putty?
It's the silly putty. Mock, you are officially the second hero of this chaos. It is silly putty. Yeah, it smells like that underneath all of the animal and like the bear hair and the deer.
Yeah.
So I think, let me see. So he's got pretty good stealth. I think I think he's gonna try investigation. I really wish the Dungeon Master's Vault had which ability score
Invest
is underneath
intelligence, I believe. Yes.
All right. Ooh, Winter's not good at this, but he is already stealth, so he's gonna doggone try it anyway. He's gonna try and figure out, like, if there's any pattern to what this creature is looking for. That's a 3.
I mean, yeah, she seems pretty methodically going through the front of the house.
She sure do be looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
And
she doesn't quite notice as, like, occasionally she'll shift position, and where, like, the massive blob on her back is, there'll be different legs will pop out and form, like, bear legs, crab legs, and just, like, kind of lose shape quickly and dissipate back into ooze.
All right. I think at this point, Winter's sort of like he's sort of at the end of what he can do. So I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna make one and wait. He's holding his action. If this were combat, it's not combat, but he is waiting to see what Mercy does when confronted with a schnauzer.
Instantly, everything stops, limbs stop forming, and they seem to, like, everything that seems defined kind of melts back in on itself as very slowly a glowing pair of golden eyes turn to the bark.
Mercy is technically intruding on their territory, and he wants to know if there's gonna be a fight, he's gonna go down swinging.
You're not Luton, though.
you want to get to Luton, you're gonna have to get through me, buddy.
Very well then. And now she's gonna try to grapple him. As I look up grapple.
Oh.
Yeah, she's gonna she like like her arms reform, and this time they are definitely bear arms, as she quickly starts to drag herself towards him.
But oh, that's only a 10. And Mercy got a 13.
Dog is gooped.
And at that, Luton is definitely like, nobody hurt my dog. Luton is coming in. I think he's still gonna try and stealth, so that's a 13. So that's a 24 as he's making his way through the bedroom and in through the window.
Now that she knows that there are people here, or at least maybe someone following the dog, I'll roll perception as well, just to check. Yeah, she doesn't notice anyone.
Only an 11. And he... Sorry. He has swapped from nothing in his hands. He's definitely gone to his pistol, because it's all he can think of. It's a very special gift, and it's very expensive, but his dog is in danger. And also, like, using the pistol rounds does cost money to replenish, just to make that clear.
Yeah.
I think what he's going to do while he's still hidden in the bedroom is he is going to throw off one more investigation check before things come to a head. As he, like, first peers around to start figuring out how to get Winter out of the situation that Winter did cause. That's a dirty 20. What does he see?
What is he? It's investigation, yeah?
Yes.
Alright, what is he trying to figure out?
Mostly he's trying to figure out who is in the other room. And then immediate secondary is where is Winter, so that he can start figuring out how to get Winter out of whatever made him yelp. Because it hasn't happened often, but he has once or twice had goons come in and had Winter trapped under a box or something, or they were, like, holding him or something. None of them ever managed to, like, hurt Winter. Luton's figured out ways to get around it. And like I said, it's only happened once or twice. He's not yet big news. He's still starting on this stuff. But his first goal is to figure out who's in the room so he can start figuring out how he can bribe them, or threaten them to make them go away, or put them on the wrong trail. And the second thing is to figure out where physically Winter is.
Well, it's fairly easy to figure out both of those, because as this figure grabs Winter, it kind of starts to drag Winter into itself. As just these wavering, like, glowing shreds of gold, like, stare at the dog unblinking.
All right, so
mayhaps that purple, that shade of purple looks a little bit familiar. The form, not so much.
So that shade of purple does indeed look familiar, and Luton is first going to pop out and say, "No, you don't!" And then he's going to freeze and say, "What? Mercy?"
Luton, there you are.
First of all, stop that! And he's gonna, like, gesture with his gun, like I want to make a point. He never actually points it directly at Winter. He's always pointing in the vague direction, like gesturing down with the gun. It never goes toward, it never, like the barrel never quite lines up with Winter, because he knows gun safety, folks.
Well, I suppose you were right. And she will start to pull Winter up by the scruff. I did have to go through you to get home.
He's gonna be like scrambling as soon as he like gets his paws on the ground to try and run behind Luton, who is now thoroughly freaked out.
Mercy is kind of keeping pace. She's definitely trying to take note of where they came from. And trying to block that way off.
Do you want to roll, I guess, general perception to see if you have any idea?
Sure.
Because they were stealth pretty good.
They were stealth really good. She doesn't know. She's just going to try circling them.
Honestly, I would say she would probably make for the front door and just assume that somehow Luton got in through the dog door.
Don't know how, but if she did it, maybe he can.
Luton is going to notice the circling, and he's also going to notice that his entire place is ransacked. And he's going to go, all right, clearly you were trying to make this a hostage situation, so what do you want?
You have something that I need back. And, like, she reaches out a very spindly hand.
How close does this get to Luton's face? Does this break the personal bubble?
If he doesn't react, it's gonna get as close as it can, until it's either slapped away or is appeased.
Yeah, he definitely does like the leaning back thing as the hand just keeps getting closer and closer. And I think what he's gonna do is I think he's gonna roll a quick history check just to see if he can remember what she's talking about. Simply because everything's been chaos and she hasn't defined what it is. Oh, but with that, I was hoping that Luton would, because then suddenly his like expression goes from a creepy, goopy hand to, oh, wait a minute. And he's like, wait, you did all this because you're looking for the astrolite? And he sort of like clicks his fingers like, oh no, I totally researched what the name was, but I've forgotten it.
My star map. I need a
star map, yes. And he sort of like looks around at the chaos and he's like, and well, I suppose I did hide it pretty well.
You did. Where is it?
And he's gonna start like looking down at what's going on and start like sort of, you see the gears continue to turn in his head, and he's like, wait a minute, and he like lowers the gun just a little bit. It's still technically aimed at her, but it's not like aimed at her face. And he's like, Mercy, do you need that, or do you need the star back?
Need my star map, please.
And you see like his face go waffling again, but he's like, all right, he sort of like wipes his face, puts his gun at his side. He hasn't put it away yet, but he's like, all right, let's start over, I guess. And he sort of like goes to the desk, but instead of like sitting down at the desk, he pushes the chair out of the way and then goes under the desk. And you see him like looking underneath, and then he pulls something out, and you see like after he pulls something out, you see a very distinctive scroll like thud on the ground. He like shoves it back up. That's not plot relevant here. And he shuts it back, and you see a golden circle in his hands that relates to the stars. And he's like, I think it's called an astrolabe.
Give
I've
it
been
back,
sort
give
of
it back, give it back, give it back, give it
yeah,
back,
yeah.
give it back.
Hang on. And he sort of like leans back like hang on. And then he sort of realizes he's put himself in a very bad situation to be threatened to be holding stuff back, considering she's like at this point I assume she's like basically surrounding the desk and he's put himself like on his back.
Yeah, I mean, the only bit of respect that she's giving him is she's only her neck is kind of like her head is going, but that just makes it really creepy because her neck is elongating as she encroaches further in, and you start to see as the goop like starts to like form like weird teeth when she enunciates, and it's just very unsettling.
All right, hang on, just a second, I will. And then he like emphasizes, I will give it back. I have no intention of keeping it. I just and he sort of just like gestures and he's like I and then he like sort of like sighs and thumbs back and he says, I was gonna say something about my curiosity, but I'm just honestly I'm worried at this point. Would you just stay until you're sort of and then he like vaguely waves back her again and is just like not falling apart, I guess. I've got to put a cup of tea on.
Just give it back.
And Winter like, but then if Mercy even like looks towards him or shifts towards him, he's immediately gonna scoot back because Creepy Goop was really creepy and trying to eat him. And Luton's like, all right, it wasn't mine to begin with. And he does, in fact, hand off the astrolabe back to good old Mercy.
Instantly, like, she just collapses in onto it.
Well, easy, take it easy. And he's like sort of scrambling, trying to get out from under the desk, but also she's like right in front of him, so he's not in a good position to do this. He did not think this through.
It's kind of gross. She like all form just seems to dissipate as the astrolabe is taken into herself, and it starts being less and less translucent as it all starts to coalesce more firmly, and gradually more of the colors and the shapes that define her start to come back. And she's no longer a goopy, like, such a goopy mess. She is still kind of melty, but she's working on it.
That was fascinating! And Luton is like, you would expect for him to be grossed out by the stuff. Winter is absolutely like, okay, you're no longer trying to attack Luton, but still side-eyeing. But Luton is just like, that's fascinating. So the astrolabe, like forms who you are. That's why you gave it to me, because you needed to let the other consciousness try and take over. How have you been holding yourself together all these weeks? This is incredible.
Do you have any chicken nuggets?
Chicken nut. And he sort of blinks and he's like, I don't exact. And he sort of thinks for a second. He says, I do have those. And he sort of like takes a look towards his kitchen, which has remained spotless this whole time, and then he sort of goes, would you like to sit down? And you can see there's just the tiniest hint of regret because his entire front room is trashed. And the kitchen was fine, the bedroom was fine, but I have to press pause on this whole situation. I have to make some tea. So he invites still semi-goopy Mercy into his kitchen, which does have a table with chairs.
It must be noted that, like, she's still reforming, so there's, like, a trail of, like, ooze that follows her. Like, the trail of her dress. But she does follow.
I need you to know, Luton is absolutely just, like, eyeing the trails of goop, like, alternately is that okay? But if it is okay, can I have it?
She's not really paying attention. Now she's trying to see if there is chicken nuggets or any other food she recognizes, which isn't much.
All right. Luton definitely, like, immediately, like, takes the it's a pot. No, it's, oh my goodness. What do you boil water in?
A pot?
The teapot. Oh,
I was gonna be like, I don't know. I did a whole thing on cooking and I still failed that. Kettle, says the chat.
so you guys are just gonna have to deal with this as I continue on. Thank you, guys. So he, like, takes the kettle, pops off the top of the lid with like, he has to, like, put his thumb on the actual handle to, like, pry the top off. It's a good kettle, but it's, like, not easy to take the top off. Mm-hmm. He, like, fills it with water, pops the top back in, puts it on, starts, and you hear the click, 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 as it actually does start, and then he, like, turns it back because he always has to, like, start at the highest level, and then you gotta turn it down. He, like, goes over to the counter, and then, like knees up on the counter the way that short people have to, because he has to go to the top shelf.
Yeah.
That's where he keeps the marshmallows, because otherwise he's tempted to make hot chocolate all the time. He pulls the marshmallows down, and then after he jumps back onto the ground, he pulls out some tea biscuits. He's just, like, he puts the tea biscuits in the middle, and then sort of, like, places the marshmallows in front of Mercy, because she specifically asked for them, and he's like, do you want... I do have some microwave food if you want something with more protein than any sort of, like, gestures at the marshmallows.
Was it a microwave I used last time? I don't remember. It was small.
You used a microwave?
We cooked, what was it? Pizza bagels? I don't remember exactly. Things are still fuzzy. But it was a small
Lieutenant's
box.
Like, question mark about all this.
It was a small box, and there were many eyes, but they weren't real eyes.
And Lieutenant just, again, sort of vaguely points at the actual microwave he has. And it's not one of those microwaves that's built in. Once again, this is kind of a cheap apartment, so it is like a microwave that you put on the counter rather than having it fully built in. But the nice thing is that allows him to have one of those little oven microwaves. So, like, if you want to heat up something small, but normally you do it in the oven, you can do it in the oven microwave.
Yes.
Because we're classy.
We are classy college children here. Well, she just kind of, like, doesn't quite recall what the food was that she ate with Short's kid. And she eats a single marshmallow. I forgot. I don't like these. And she pushes it away.
Oh. And Luton just sort of blinks at the marshmallows as the fact that it's been a long day for him, and then he had this, and now she asked for marshmallows from the highest shelf, and she doesn't even want marshmallows. It's just sort of, like, coming into him, and he's just like, okay. And he takes the marshmallows away, and he just puts them on the counter, where eventually it'll go back up to the top shelf, but he's not hopping up there again. And he goes to, like, his refrigerator that has a little freezer on the top, and he opens the mini freezer, and he's like, I have spaghetti.
What is that?
I'm afraid I don't have any of the chicken. What's spaghetti?
Yes. Maybe I do like marshmallows.
Well, if you're unsure, you're more than welcome to try another one. My mother, rest her soul, not because she's dead, but because I hate her, she always said that a second bite was worthy. Spaghetti is like strings of noodles with tomato sauce that has other herbs built into it and balls of ground beef with more things added to it, like breadcrumbs. Do you want to try that? I could certainly use some spaghetti at this point.
She, like, looks between you and the bag of marshmallows.
You're more than welcome to try more marshmallows,
She's
I
going
promise.
to try more marshmallows. Does not get up, hand just, arm just extends, grabs marshmallows, slowly, retreats back to her seat.
So at this point, Luton has pulled out, it's not like spaghetti and meatballs in a container, it's one of those TV dinner spaghetti and meatballs.
Classic!
but he pulls it out and he starts, like, I don't know why I'm describing all this stuff like it's a Ghibli movie, even though it's like spaghetti and marshmallows.
Spaghetti and marshmallows, baby!
But he pulls out a fork and, like, stabs the top so that he can make a single slice to cut the film. He puts it in the microwave, presses a couple buttons, and it starts going as the kettle starts going, and he, like, pulls it off the top. He's like, do you want to try hot chocolate with those marshmallows you aren't sure if you don't like or maybe do like? Maybe? While also, like, pulling out a cup of tea for him. He needs this cup of tea. He needs this calming cup of tea.
I thought you had to put it over fire to get it to be hot. That's how you do it with marshmallows.
Yes, this... And you see Luton, like, going, oh my goodness, I'm not just having to explain what spaghetti is, I'm gonna have to explain everything, huh? But then he, like, sort of rebounds and he goes, this is an oven. If you'll come over here, but he like glances at Winter, who is like watching everything. That way that you know dogs watch.
Yeah,
when they're like, I am not okay with this. I am watching, and he's like, I suppose I mean physically come over here. I don't think Winter likes it when you go extendo arms. I can show you how the stovetop works.
All right.
Winter definitely, like, scoots back when Mercy starts getting closer, like, I don't trust this. I don't trust this.
She makes her way over.
He's like, all right, so I'm not quite ready to explain electricity yet. I'm not at that space, but you just sort of have to trust that this thing has power, which is electricity, and that's all I'm going to explain at the moment. But since this thing has power, he, like, turns the dial off, and of course the fire in the little container, it's not a container, it's the little individual part, that fire dies, because that's how ovens work. I'm sorry, you guys, words are failing me, but I'm still doing this. And he's like, so fire in general is started by a spark, and then fire can be sustained if it has fuel, right?
Yes. That is how the stars work, in a sense.
Yes, very much so. And he sort of, like, pauses for a second, like, I suppose. And then he's like, anyway, he does do a tunish, as he shakes the idea off, and he's like, anyway, since you mentioned stars are fueled, the fire in stars is sort of fueled by gas. I know that's not actually how it works, this plasma thing, but nobody's ever explained plasma to here, so just act with, like, a third grade word with me. Gas can sustain fire, right?
Yes.
You can tell she does not understand.
So he says, all right, so if you have a spark and you have gas in a controlled manner, you can maintain a fire. That's what this stovetop is doing. And so, I hope you guys are ready for me to explain literally every part of this, because I'm going to. So he like goes past the spark, the ignition spark, all the way, and he's like, so you hear that sound? That's gas, and he turns it back off. It's not good for it to stay around too long. But what happens is it controls gas coming out of the stovetop, and then if you apply the spark, and this time he does leave it on the ignite part, and it goes click, 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 and then boom, a very small controlled fire happens on the stovetop. And he's like, and then you get fire on the stovetop.
It's too small.
For marshmallows?
Yes.
Well, not really. He like goes over a couple of drawers and like pulls out a fork, and he's like, if you just, and he like takes a marshmallow out, stabs the marshmallow, and he's like, you just have to hold it kind of close, but it's not actually that hard. And he's doing the thing where like he's doing the constant turn rather than the wait for it. Because he's a nerd like that.
Perfection.
And he's like, it does, it's not quite the same. I completely understand that, but it's still fire. It has the same properties. Do you perhaps like toasted marshmallows, not plain?
I'm still not sure if I'm supposed to like marshmallows.
She like pops another one.
Luton's like, yeah, okay. And at this point, I will mention the marshmallow does not yet look like marshmallow done, but it is warm. And he like hands the fork off to Mercy, and he's gonna be like, "That's your fork." Wait. And he like jerks it back for a second. He's like, I don't actually know if you know how this process works, so I'm just going to state the obvious. The fork part, which is the metal, you don't eat that part.
But what if I did? Just to mess with you.
Have you been messing with me this whole time? And he's like, what?
I didn't say that. The fire is far too small for roasting marshmallows, and I'm still not certain if I like them.
he's just, at this point it's got to be like, I don't know, at least 7 in the afternoon, evening, and he has had a long day. And he's sort of just like, he just turns his stovetop off. You hear a little ding. It's like, so we're just gonna try spaghetti. And he takes the fork, which still has the marshmallow on it, and keeps it in his hand. Mercy has lost this half-toasted marshmallow privileges, which is probably fine.
No. Marshmallow.
Like limply, like a hand goes after her, and then she kind of like resigns herself to no marshmallow.
He sort of like pulls the spaghetti dinner out, and he's about to stick the fork he's got in his hand into it, and then he remembers that it does still have the marshmallow because he didn't eat it and Mercy didn't eat it. And he's just staring at this marshmallow above the spaghetti in the fork in his hand. And he's kind of tired, guys. His ADHD brain is not computing this.
You stirred up my goop, now I mess with you.
Eventually he just pops the marshmallow into his mouth. He didn't he's probably at this point so overwhelmed in quotation marks. He didn't even hear her say no marshmallow. He just puts it in his mouth and yanks the fork out. And at this point, regardless of if she eats the fork to mess with him, he gives her the fork and he slides over the spaghetti after he's like stirred it, because otherwise it's like one half is all meatballs and one half is sauce, and then in the middle there's just noodles and it's not connected anywhere. He's done the stir. He wants her to have a proper experience. And he just hands it over while he's still chewing on his marshmallow.
Aren't you supposed to
Which
eat
isn't
more
even
than
toasted.
marshmallows?
I'm sorry, what?
Aren't you supposed to eat more than just marshmallows?
I'm going to have... And he sort of like blinks at her owlishly. And he sort of dissolves into laughter because, like, what has even happened this evening? What's going on? Why did Mercy try to eat Winter, but now she's making fun of him? He's just sort of chuckling to himself, like, you ever have one of those days where you're just like, isn't adult life already so goddamn weird? He's just sort of snorting and has his face in his hands, and he's just...
Mercy just like kind of tilts her head in confusion. She's significantly less goopy now, like pretty much back to her normal form.
And he's like, the plan is for me later to have more than marshmallows. Yes, you are correct. I wanted to let you taste first since you didn't even know what spaghetti was, is all. And he at this point his tea is steeped enough that he just starts sipping his tea. Like, he's not going for any of the biscuits he has behind him. He's just like, I need this soothing tea, even as I am still chuckling, because otherwise who knows what's gonna happen.
Cause like she's her whole thing, she mimics people. She went to that party. She knows how to like eat with a fork.
Lucian's like, this is a fork.
Versus just like, I should eat the fork. Just to see what would
That would make me very sad, because I have only like 3 forks to my name.
I can just pull it back out.
And he's still sort of just stuck in this semi-constant chuckle, like, this is my life now, I guess.
Imagine if you took something from this weird veiled shapeshifter and then she showed up and bullied you for chicken nuggets.
Okay, one thing, to be very clear, Mercy threw it at him.
Yeah, I know, it's all her fault.
Let's just be clear.
But she like takes it. She doesn't take a bite yet because she's just kind of like watching him and like looking between her meatballs and this dying Luton.
I will mention it is sort of a slow chuckle. It's not a full-on guffaw. He's not falling over, but he is sort of just stuck in this loop of semi-constant chuckles in between sips of his calming tea.
I mean, all right. She'll like put it under the veil. She doesn't like people seeing her eat or anything under the veil. Well, the veil is formed. But she will take a bite.
I will mention Lucian's eyes have shifted back to her as the giggling starts dying down, and he's definitely wanting to know, yes? No?
I don't...
takes another bite.
It's okay. Don't strain yourself on my behalf. You can have a second.
It does not taste like chicken nuggets.
Yes, Mercy, you're right. It does not taste like chicken nuggets. He's sort of just nodding sagely, like the giggles have died down, but the still sort of just acceptance that this is happening is still there.
She, like, pushes it away.
I miss chicken nuggets.
I mean, if you're willing to actually stay put, I could go to the store and get chicken. And you sort of, like, see him blink, and he's just like, chicken nugget. And he does say it in the singular, because that's what she's saying.
No. If you leave, then I will most likely leave as well.
Well, you don't have to do that. I mean, and he's sort of like, well, he sort of like stops himself, like, don't make the assumption that she doesn't have anywhere else to go, because you've already made plenty of assumptions today, and now who's looking like the clown? It sure isn't Mercy. But he's also just sort of like trying to figure out how to say, if you don't have a place, you could stay overnight. You don't have to go out into the cold, while also not implying if she does have a place, you're homeless.
I mean, she is, more or less. She just lives outside.
And so Loon just, at this point, just stops himself, and he just takes another slow sip of his tea.
She, like, keeps pushing the spaghetti towards him.
I will ask, is she still holding the fork?
No, she put the fork in the spaghetti.
Alright, then at this point he will, like, take the fork and scoot it closer to him and, like, swirl the noodles around to take a bite, and then stab a meatball and offer it to Winter, who's like, finally, while still, like, keeping a very close eye on Mercy.
God. Yeah, Mercy is watching.
I think he will at this point sort of pull the cup back and said, I do still have questions, but I know some people aren't, like, fond of that, so I'm he sort of like taps his fingers along the side of his cup on the side that he has his hand through the handle. He's like, were you going to hurt Winter if I didn't give you, if I wasn't around?
He said that I had to go through him to find you.
So you took that literally and started going through. He sort of, like, drops the mug, but, like, his hand is underneath the mug, but he drops both of his hands onto the counter. A little bit splashes onto his hand. At this point, it's cold enough, it's fine. And he's like, so you literally started to go through him.
It was his statement. I merely followed through.
He takes the hand that's not holding the mug, which incidentally is the one that has tea splashed on it, and he sort of, like, rubs his face, and the giggles have come back. He's like, alright, well, you hear that, Winter? Be less literal next time. Next time you're facing a goop monster, be less literal, and you'll stay out of trouble. And you're...
Most likely not.
He is sort of a troublemaker, as I suppose am I. He says weakly.
Oh, no, I mean about... What was the phrasing? Goop monsters.
And you see Luton immediately retract back, and then he like thinks about it, and then goes, "No, you're right. There's no defending that one. I'm sorry. That was rude."
Was it?
Well, monster carries a sort of connotation, and you're a person. And he's sort of like flicking his eyes at her, like, so wait, did you take offense to that?
I am Mercy Darling.
A name! And Luton sort of brightens up, because I don't think they ever got her name in Faces on Parade, because, like, it was only at the end that there was any reveal.
Yeah.
So he's at this point sort of smiling at her, and he's sort of like, yes, something finally. And he's like, all right, Mercy Darling, I am Luton Remy, and this poor pup who has probably been traumatized by earlier tonight. Don't worry, Winter, we'll talk about it. This is Winter. And he sort of stops because there's no real continuing that sentence while all this is going on.
And Mercy is Mercy.
You already explained that, but I love you.
Well?
Alright, let me real quick ask, do you have any more ideas, or do we just want to zoom out on the awkwardness?
Oh no, I still need to mess with him.
Oh, well, far be it for me to stop you. I apologize. I did not mean to try and bring this to a close too early.
Mercy just kind of like looks at the dog, looks at Luton, and now she's Luton.
I will mention Luton. Luton is sipping his tea, and Winter, yes! Like, you didn't say that she could do this! She was doing the thing with her legs earlier! What?
And this is my dog, Winter.
Tea does definitely go down his side. And he, like, blinks at her again. I will ask, is she still semi-goopy even in her impression?
Well, now she's more nebulous.
Okay. He's like, so you could just do that then? That doing it with Road wasn't a disguise kit one-off?
One-off?
You know, when you do something only once, it doesn't become a running gag?
No, I'm Luton.
Of course, yes. He's sort of like, I deserve this. And he's like, well, Luton Remy, what are you most known for? Oh,
my
do
dog,
go on.
Winter.
He definitely was laughing. That was canon laughing. And he sort of like slams his head onto his arm because he's kind of delighted in spite of himself.
She's like looking around the room.
Just like, dog.
Do you want to make a perception check to see if you can find something else while he's recovering?
Sure.
Oh!
I am well known for my dog, Luton.
So, you see as Luton is still laughing wildly that this is what you came up with for what he's known for. You actually look around the room and you see in the sort of doorway of his general space, you see where his desk normally sits, although it's again been shifted a little because that room was trashed. You see on the wall behind it there is a newspaper clipping, and what it says is, "Boy reporter saves young child of Giblian dignitaries." And that's all you can see is the headline from that. But it's the only framed newspaper article he has. Make of that what you will.
Rescuing people, maybe.
And he does sort of like pause at that. And the chuckles stop, and he's like, "Well, I sure would like to be, I guess. Flattery will get you nowhere if you're trying to make a good impersonation, though." And he's looking away, considering he got a 22. You can tell he's highly complimented by this, even though he has no idea that she pulled it up from the newspaper clipping he already has. He really wants to help people.
Oh.
And so he's definitely like, "Oh, flattery will get you nowhere," as he's flustered. And he's sort of like, "Oh, all right. So, did you do your research with Rhoda then before you impersonated her?" He's now leaning forward. He's like, "All right. She's all right with questions. Time to overload."
I mean, yeah, I can't really do a perfect impersonation of her none, but I got the speech down, I think.
All right. That's fascinating. And how did you do this research? Did you just rewatch the movies over and over? How did you get her personality? And he, once again, he suddenly turns sheepish and embarrassed. He's like, I actually know Rhodes somewhat, and you completely fooled me. So, how did you get her mannerisms down?
Well, Luton, you see, sometimes I go into Villestown, and she's pretty active around there, and she has a radio show, so I was listening to that a lot. But also, yeah, I did just watch the movies a whole lot.
Luton sort of like thinks about it and then goes, "Yeah, fair. That is how I heard about her too. She's not that different off the mic, I suppose." And he's sort of like, yeah, that checks out. He's like,
But it was easy.
I suppose it's sort of also like you don't expect people to be acting different if they're in place somewhere, so it must sort of be easy as long as you get the gist of the. He's sort of going into full-on thinking mode. He's trying to like work through his mind how this works.
Meanwhile,
Now
Mercy's
that he
still
knows
eating
for sure.
marshmallows under the table.
And he's like, "All right, well, I've heard plenty about your shape-shifting abilities at this point. I saw it firsthand. What about Mercy?"
I am. Mercy, darling.
"Well, you certainly are that. Yes, indeed. And then he sort of pauses and he's like, Do you not know what you like? Is that why you're still on the fence about marshmallows?"
Yes. Shorts Kid was helping me. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to like, but...
And she kind of like cradles her star map.
Now that I have this, I will be able to find the answers. Would I like who I can be friends with? Finally, I will have the answers to these questions.
Well, allowed to like is sort of a strong word. And he sort of like now looking at the astrolabe like a little you sort of can't place what the look on his face is with the astrolabe, and he's like, you see him consider something, and then you see him like you see him like mentally put it to the side, and he's like, would you like to try biscuits then?
I suppose.
And Luton pops the tin off the biscuits that he has. He takes a biscuit and he offers it to her. And you see him like holding his hand over the biscuits, like trying to consider which one he gives before he picks one up and gives it to her. He tried to give her a whole one rather than one of the ones that's cracked.
She'll take it. She'll eat it.
Yeah, better with tea if you want to try tea as well, but I figured if we were doing these one at a time.
Yes, I must see if I like these.
And takes another stab at the spaghetti, swirls the spaghettis around his fork, and then does grab a meatball for himself because he also needs protein.
She will, she's eating her biscuit, she will take a, look at her astrolabe and kind of fiddle with it a little bit. I don't like these, apparently.
You see Luton really trying hard not to stare at the astrolabe, but he's totally staring at the astrolabe, and he's like, so does it determine for you?
The stars will guide me in all my actions. I am but their will, placed here. I am Mercy Darling. Important.
Well, what did they send you to do then?
That I don't know yet. I am here for something important. But I don't know what it is yet. I was thinking that it was back at the party. But evidently, it was not.
Well, you don't know that for sure. You didn't have your astrolabe for the last part of the party. Maybe you did do it properly. I think we're all at the place where we're sort of like not quite sure why we're here. So you'll fit right in with the rest of us.
If that was my goal at the party, if that is what the stars wished of me, the grand scheme, then there would be no more Mercy, darling.
What?
But I'm still here. Thus, I must keep going.
Wait. Your whole purpose is to find your purpose and then stop existing rather than just continuing to do that?
Mercy, darling, exists to fulfill her purpose.
But what about multiple purposes? Plenty of people have those. And he's sort of like instantly grappling with the fact that he kind of likes this person who's actually willing to mess with him. And now suddenly, if she finds her purpose, which he was perfectly willing to help her out with in the second that he learned this, but if she finds her purpose, she's gone. So implications.
But I still have to find that.
What?
Mercy.
Do you have to find it immediately?
No.
Most people spend their whole lives looking for their purposes. You wouldn't be alone there.
She looks a little bit sad at that. Yes, most people do spend that. And what if they don't find it before it is up?
Well, they find everything good in between there. They find everything in between what a purpose is and what makes life enjoyable, tolerable, livable. They make their purpose if they don't find it. You can create one, you know.
Everyone says this. But my purpose is to find the purpose of Mercy Darling. Execute that. And then that's it, I suppose. I don't know if there's something after that.
Well, like I said, you're not alone there either. Lucian is sort of like absentmindedly brushing one thumb against another, like, geez, I was not expecting this.
And he's like fairly nonchalant about all of this.
Well, what if your purpose doesn't have a time limit? What if fulfilling your purpose is an ongoing thing? Does that also mean you suddenly stop once you find it?
I don't know what my purpose is yet. I don't know what it is. The stars have deemed the role of Mercy Darling.
And you think you can't change it, you just have to find it?
Why would I change it? It is already written in the stars. I must merely play the part.
Predetermined destiny. All right, I see. He sort of mutters that to himself, but he doesn't do it particularly quietly, so she could still probably hear it. Well, you were still led to the party, right?
Yes. That is
then
why
maybe
I suspected that was part of my purpose. That's why I gave you that. Because if my purpose was coming to an end, then there would be no need for Mercy Darling.
And Lucian's like, oh boy, I just took something from somebody who was technically semi-suicidal that keeps them together. Oh boy, this has been a fun couple of months while I did something that was not great. And I didn't even know it. Another not great thing I didn't realize I was doing. And he's like definitely wide-eyed, big-eyed, takes another long sip from his tea. Realizes there's no tea left after he has executed the action.
Mercy just kind of lays it all very matter-of-factly. Like, she doesn't feel strongly either way about what she's saying.
It simply is as it is. I am Mercy Darling, and I must find my purpose.
Well, and you can see the gears are still actively turning in his head, but he's trying to figure out something to say to continue the conversation so he can have more time for the gears to keep turning in his head. And he's just like, well, if you were led to the party and you still exist, but you were still definitely led to the party, maybe your purpose is related to the outcomes of the party. So you had to be there in order to fulfill your purpose. Later, as we work through oh gosh and golly, and you see him like put down the cup. He was starting to put the kettle on the stovetop again, but he didn't even start the stovetop. He puts the mug down and he it's the closest you've seen to him stomping into other room, although he doesn't seem mad at Mercy. He goes into the other room. Let me ask, does Mercy follow him?
Yeah. She's still she shoves the rest of the bag of marshmallows under her veil and follows him.
So she sees him as he's rounding the desk, and he shoves himself back under it, which means you could just like see his legs, and you see the scroll thump back out again, and this time it's like right next to his face. So it's God, boink, and then he like sits down to her, and he's just like, I'm okay, I'm fine. And when he sort of like backwards scoots his way out and starts rubbing his head, you see that he is holding the scroll, and he's like, so, oh, gosh darn it, wish I had that toonish reaction where this stuff didn't hurt. But no, instead I get stuck with sleeping and funny faces. Never mind. And he unfurls the scroll, and it's the scroll that Zan gave him as Zan was trying to make his own heroic sacrifice. And then subsequently was very poorly rescued out of it. Lucian also participated in. It was
It's
a very
rescue.
bad
Hey,
attempt.
got out. They're all alive. It's a clean rescue.
It worked, so like that's fine.
That's it.
But he opens out the scroll and he says, so related to the party, it wasn't just chaos and a bad party. There were people there trying to hurt others and alter their own destiny in a way. So, and for the sake of time, we're going to say he goes more in detail as to what happened as Zan explained what went on, but it can be basically summed up in there were the body snatchers that Mercy sacrificed her astrolabe to try and get the body snatcher to take her, but the party is sort of their whole prompt in order to get bodies. And he sort of ends with, and clearly that can't be the destiny of the people who are in the bodies. That's breaking their soul away from them. Perhaps your purpose wasn't just being at the party and then ending. Maybe you had to be there to fulfill your purpose, whatever it may be.
That is what I suspected. I do not like to theorize about what it is the stars have planned. I feel it may be an insult to them.
So I've just insulted your stars. Great.
No.
Great.
No, I have had my own thoughts about this. I think I was meant to be taken by them. And all of this is just things going not according to the stars' will. They keep asking that I return to them. I was unsure if I should. But now I have the answers here.
In this conspiracy theory, essentially, except it's true?
No. And she'll hold up her astrolabe. I can ask them what it is they want me to do themselves. Only then shall I be able to fulfill what it is they wish of me.
Right. And you're certainly more your usual color, I suppose. And Luchin's definitely facing down the fact that this sounds very final, and we've also established that Mercy is basically at this point suicidal. Um, so he's definitely like trying to go, how do I continue this conversation? How do I make her come back? How do I make her come back? How do I make her promise she'll come back? And he's sort of like, you know, something we haven't tried? Chinese chicken nuggets, which is not what they really are, but they're similar to chicken nuggets, but they're fried in a different manner. There's all different kinds of those. You should come back and I'll bring a normal set of chicken nuggets and some Chinese food which has breaded chicken, and we can see which you like better.
Her eyes do kind of sparkle at the notion of chicken nuggets.
I like this idea. Yes. Yes, I will come back for these chicken nuggets.
Oh, right. And you see, like, all of the air go out of Loon, like, oh, thank goodness. And he sort of, like, bounces back, like, he didn't want that to be too initially visible, but it was. And he was like, so, would a weekend work? Not that I wouldn't love to see you immediately, but, and you see him stutter as he looks back around the room, because they're still in the room with the desk.
Yeah.
And it's still trashed. He's like, I would be expecting a visitor, and I wouldn't have work to do, so that would be easier on a weekend. And you see him, like, his brain has immediately started calculating how much work it's going to take to fix this room, and he's trying not to jump to that, but his brain's already there.
Yes, I or someone will return on a weekend. Yes, this is a good idea.
So wait, if you mean someone, if you fulfill your purpose, somebody else still gets the astrolabe?
Yes. I suppose... Yes, in simpler terms.
Alright. And Luchin's then like, I'm out of ideas, but I still don't want this to happen. Peck!
Chicken nuggets.
But if this does happen, you will be sure to tell them that they should try chicken nuggets?
Yes, of course. I'll remember chicken nuggets, if nothing else. But it is getting darker. The stars will almost all be out.
Yes, but it's not that dark. And Lutin once again is trying to buy for time, although unfortunately I don't think this time it's going to be successful.
Yes, I must find a place where it is far darker, but thank you for giving this back.
Yes, it was yours to begin with. I was trying to keep it. He sort of like bundles up the scroll, like, okay, this is no longer helping her stay alive. It's not important anymore. and again, he's sort of blundering over his words. He's gotten himself stuck on the thoughts that he's got, but he doesn't have a new plan to get her to stay.
Thank you for the marshmallows.
Even though you didn't like them?
I don't know if I like them or not. By the way, you have no more marshmallows.
That was quick. I guess. And at this point, I assume she started making her way towards the window or the door and making it clear she's going.
Yeah.
So he sort of faintly goes, I guess if you're still curious about marshmallows, I can get some before the weekend.
I would like that. Oh, one more thing. I believe
Yes?
you misunderstood me before. When I was talking about goop monsters. Being literal will not save you from them. Being less literal will also not save you from them. The best thing to do is run and hope they show mercy. Good night, Luton.
And as Mercy leaves, you hear Luton go, "Wait, what? Mercy?" And we close.
Ba-dum-bum.
Wow.
Thank you all for coming. I know I said angst level low, but I lied, I guess.
Congratulations, Luton, who already had hero complex, has now gotten more of one.
It's okay. I will be having like I'm going to try to run a game where there is like a Mercy where I like explain all of Mercy's backstory and stuff. But that's for another time.
Another time.
But thank you all for coming. Snail, thank you for letting me bully you for an hour.
Of course. Now listen, nobody has properly bullied Luton, and given the fact that my brain was gone, so I couldn't make him think properly, I've been desperately needing somebody to actually bully him.
I would like my stuff, please. I'm going to stop the recording. Everyone say goodbye.
Bye.